Hey everybody, Ben here from DMC Films, and I'm back with more tips for the intermediate artist. Today we're going to be talking about using acrylic glazing layers. I'm using a golden soft gel gloss here to attach some pieces of paper to a piece of slate. This is basically my normal process for creating a mixed media work, and in this case, on top of the paper, I'm going to be creating a couple layers of acrylic glaze to create sort of a fake green using both Prussian blue and a cad yellow. Once the paper is completely adhered and partially dried, I'm adding a 2-to-1 mixture of Prussian blue to the soft gel gloss. That's more gloss than paint. And I'm eating that, just kind of spreading that in back and forth across the palette to kind of give a sort of a translucent, semi-transparent kind of look to it, and you want to make sure that you don't mix too much paint, otherwise you're going to lose the transparency. And I'm kind of just spreading that across the normal downward and slightly curved arc, the way your arm kind of moves across the canvas, or in this case whatever surface you're working on, just spreading that across nice and even. Now you want to be sure that before you trim your edges, if you're doing a mixed media piece much like this, that you want to make sure that your layers are completely dry. My palette was, or my canvas in this case, was relatively wet, so I just waited and then finished up and flipped it once it was completely dry. You want to make sure between your glazing layers that your layers are indeed completely dry, otherwise you're going to cause smearing and mixing that is just really kind of takes away the purpose of creating the layers in this case. So now going back in, the same 2-to-1 mixture. I have a blob of paint out there and I don't use quite all of it. Get enough gloss medium out there to kind of mix it in and have a roughly the same amount of paint that I need to cover the surface. Now you can again see kind of a random pattern this time of just sort of a left to right movement, just to kind of get that little bit of a different movement and texture with the piece. And going over top of that, you create the way the light goes through it and bounces off it, you get sort of a greenish color. You get sort of that yellow on top, a little bit of blue underneath, and that little bit of fake green. As a final touch to this piece, I'm throwing in a little bit of zinc white on top, just kind of rubbing that on with a paper towel and kind of rubbing some on, some off, and just kind of lighten up the surface. Create a sort of a frosted texture, a little bit like ice. And that's really about it to create glazing layers. So, for more tips, tutorials, and other art videos, do stay tuned to the DMC Films channel here on YouTube. This is Ben. See you guys next time.